very
All right.
thin.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, it's
I
another
recommend the
issue.
vet.
It's vet time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry to say.
sounds like
What
But
do
she.
you
we had
think
a mad, we had a
she's
mad
getting
woman.
ready to die?
No, no,
Well,
not necessarily.
How old is she?
I have no idea. She just adopted us when we moved in here.
oh,
Mm.
I recommend the vet.
If you're able to bring her to a vet, that sounds like it would be a
Yeah.
good idea.
But when we had a cat called, what was it called? Buttons.
Going
It,
live.
all right. Well, we had a local who kept feeding all the local cats, and so he stopped eating. So it was that. Anyway, there you go.
We're going live.
Bienvenidos, buenas noches y buenos días desde España. Me llamo Joespaña. Welcome, good evening, and good morning from Spain. My name is Joespaña. I'll be your cook for this evening. I'm joined by Ann Lee, a retired college professor and community member at the Daily Kos. They're a member of the National Council of Independent Scholars and is a contributor to the book, The Political Economy of Art, Making the Nation of Culture. Evening, Ann.
Hey there, Joe. How you doing?
Hey. Oh, I'm all right. A little tired trying to get accustomed to the new time schedule.
Indeed.
Back from the East Asian sector, or back in the Euro sector from the East Asian sector.
Mm.
Japanese time was
the
perfect, perfect morning
the
time.
Eurovision sector, indeed.
Oh, indeed, lots of glitter this week. But no
Yes.
politics. No politics. We'll leave the politics for this show. Um, Speaking of Japan, um, there was a dish I had over there, uh, naga imo, or the Japanese mountain yam, or the
Mm.
Chinese mountain yam, or the Korean yam. It's popular in Korea. It's it's kind of place dependent, but it's
Well,
this. Go ahead.
it's more benign than the American, sort of felonious yam which runs our country. Anyway,
Anyways, we were at the yakitori restaurant, and they had this side dish that they little essentially a tapa. It was a sort of braised or poached nagaimo, or a mountain yam in a it has a slimy texture like okra, so it's crunchy, slimy, starchy, chewy, a bit. It's like a potato mixed with celery and corn and with
mhm.
okra consistency. it's quite unique, and it has a kind of daikon-esque
Yes.
with fibers. We can see you can see very well here. Let's look at that. It has it basically looks like starchy microfiber filaments, like if you're a fiber optic cable, but for vegetables. So it's
Yes.
very funky sort of texture here. So, but it was the first time I had it. So it has a very mild taste. So whatever you season it with, it picks up the flavor, but it's more the texture of this kind of sliminess, if you like that. Apparently, this will be the first time I prepare it, so we're gonna wing it and experiment and see what happens. Apparently, if you fry it, that reduces or gets rid of the the slimy aspect. Um, but I thought I would cube it up and use the Belgian endive, make a kind of salad with
Mm.
Belgian endive and some green paprika here as a garnish. Maybe make a since so we'll be doing Japanese mountain yam with Spanish characteristics.
There
I've
we go.
got some vinagre de Jerez, Spanish vinegar,
Mm.
and some cumino. So we'll be making
Mm.
vinegar reduction to dress it
Excellent.
with, and we'll see how it goes.
Looking forward to it. I
Cool.
recall from watching too much Iron Chef that's what Iron Chef Morimoto usually used to take the secret ingredient to blend it.
Yeah, yeah.
It was his go-to.
So the I guess the most popular way to have it is to grate it,
Mm.
and then it turns into this sort of gelatinous substance and can be used as a binder. It's popular for making pancakes, or
Yes.
in Japan you mix it with a raw egg, dashi, soy sauce, and maybe some seaweed, and pour that over a bowl of warm rice, hot rice,
The
and
chat is demanding coriander or cilantro. Why is there none?
oh. There shall be garnish.
Oh,
Garnish of cilantro. I forgot to pull it out of the refrigerator. It's in the house. We were going with a more minimalistic setup here
in the house. Yes.
initially. So
Outstanding.
I don't know if Harsh is around, but I can't help them out with the gams this evening, but we do have plenty of yam.
Indeed.
Mm.
Hokey dokey.
So, oh,
Walt's not here this week, but he's here in spirit because we worry
mm,
about Canada all the time.
mm.
Becoming important, of course, for a variety of reasons. But let me yammer for a little bit. It's been a busy week for at least our little global pod. All sort of things happening relative to the national politics. I put up a couple of things because they're currently sort of in the news or at the news. For example, just because they're trying to distract us again, apparently they have decided just to distract us again that James Comey is back in the news. Recall that James Comey is the former FBI director who screwed up the 2016 election by claiming that he was going to investigate because of secret server and blah 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 emails, unofficial emails or whatever, um, Hillary Clinton. And needless to say, that screwed up. There is evidence that it did screw up the 2016 election. Subsequently, Comey was fired by. Speaking of mountain yams, well, more like urban yam. But anyway, uh, Trump, needless to say, not a fan. He was a fan, but then Trump felt that he was being undermined or whatever, and so now we're back to the same thing. He sicked Patel, Cash Patel, as opposed to Carrie Patel or, you know, bouncing check Patel. Anyway, Patel and a variety of other people. I think Tulsi Gabbard has weighed in on what James Comey. He's just on vacation. You know, the guy's retired, or maybe he does some work for a law firm. But the fact of the matter is, he put out a book that tried to explain that he wasn't the bad guy after all. He was. Or he was stupid. He was stupid. I mean, he shared stuff that he could have waited 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever the hell it was, and the election would have done the election what the election should have done. But needless to say, screw up, and then the accidental president came into power, and needless to say, Giant Yam is now claiming that Comey, in putting out a little, I think it's an Instagram post, and it was just up for a while, and James Comey took down, and Comey's been on the beach, and he was, collecting seashells and rocks on a beach, and he put them together to form the numbers 86 and 47. Now, if 8647, I mean, it's a phrase used by critics of the president online, and like protests, signs, clothing, their t-shirts with this. But apparently it doesn't mean 86 according, to the dictionary, the denotative term to dismiss or remove. Apparently, Trump wants to make noise with this by saying this is an assassination type threat on Trump himself, as though it were as palpable as the 223 round that nearly hit him, or maybe it did hit him, or maybe it only hit a fake blood capsule near his ear. But needless to say, 8647. We are aware of the recent social media post by former FBI Director James Comey directed at President Trump. We are in communication with the Secret Service and Director Curran. Primary jurisdiction is with Secret Service on these matters, et cetera, et cetera. So apparently, Kristi Noem, our Homeland Security Secretary, the one who spends a lot of time doing cosplay at a variety of locations, whether it's torture, enforcement. She has a costume for every occasion, and her current lover is also her her de facto chief of staff. But anyway, that's another story. That apparently James Comey had called for the assassination of Mr. Trump, and that DHS and Secret Service is investigating this threat and will respond appropriately. So anyway, needless to say, tempest in a teapot. And we all recall Agent 86 of Get Smart. So when you 86 something, it's something you usually put in the the rotating circular file. So I'd just as soon see Giant Yam in a rotating circular file. But that's kind of me.
Oh, speaking of slimy, I forgot
Yes.
to mention this yam is quite unique, aside from others, in that it's one of the only ones that you can actually eat raw without dying. So, and also apparently the skin is edible, but a little hairy, as we've seen. But some people apparently are sensitive to the skin, so you might want to use gloves when you peel it. I tested myself. I don't seem to be breaking out with any itching or anything, but I don't know if you can see it on the
It's
screen at
that
all.
taro root kind of thing, where you can be allergic to it. Taro is supposed to be really bad in that context.
Right. So just a safety note there.
That is a nice knife, Joe. Is that did that one come with the place, or is that one that travels with
came
you?
with the place.
Cool.
I like to not check my luggage in, so definitely don't travel with these sorts of
Yeah, carry on. Yeah,
instruments
yeah,
anymore.
carry on. Anyway, no improvised. Anyway, speaking of 86ing, so James Comey is sort of in trouble, but not really in trouble. It's just the normal BS because we don't want to point out that this week President Trump, that's the first time I've ever used those two words together. Trump spent time with MBS, the guy who killed Sean Khashoggi, killed a journalist by having him dismembered while he was still alive, and et cetera, et cetera. A couple of the people who did the actual killing managed to surprisingly die in a variety of accidents. So there are other interesting things that are part of that story, which don't get enough play. And it overlaps with Jared Kushner and the using of classified documents to betray members of the Saudi royal family who were subsequently oppressed, repressed, sanctioned in a consolidation of power by MBS. And so all that occurred. There's a $600 billion defense agreement of some kind that's gone on with between Saudi Arabia and the United States, which on the one hand is a good thing. On the other hand, other things are hidden within it. For example, the so-called Marshall Plan from the first administration, wherein civilian nuclear reactors are going to be sort of uh, installed, implemented, distributed, organized, constructed, sold, whatever, disseminated in the Middle East it seems to me that's going forward, and I'm hoping there are reporters who are going to get further on with this because this so-called Marshall Plan, which was revealed in 2017, was a plan to make money. I mean, it was just and it had all kinds of fingers in it. I mean, it was a Saudi plan, or not so much a Saudi plan. It was a variety of plans that included, I think, Mike Flynn, Steve Bannon, Paul Manafort, all the usual suspects. And this multi-billion-dollar plan, it engaged a variety of firms, and it even included Russian involvement with the overlapping financing. The same people, of course, who overlap with the paying of the debts of Jared Kushner relative to one of his little real estate deals, and of course, this overlap goes into the $2 billion that uh, the Saudis invested in Jared Kushner, and there's some reporting that it really hasn't been very productive. I mean, in terms of being used for anything other than to cover up other matter or attend to other matters. Let's put it that way. So there's a lot of details in there that have not been reported yet, but we'll see them. They have to report. There's going to be, there's paperwork. It's got to go through the Treasury. All kinds of things are going to happen. Now, that's one thing. The other thing from our Middle Eastern sojourn, the caravan of capitalists that accompanied Trump this week, it was pretty much, I mean, even Halliburton was on the plane. So, I mean, people from Halliburton. So, it's very much like sort of a feudal caravan. The king goes abroad with his retainers and court, and so a variety of folks were either making money or getting tribute or stuff. Stuff's happening. I don't know if it's partying or something, but a lot of contact was being made within a variety of countries, including Qatar, UAE. The trip was probably very productive, and I'm hoping that some of the folks who do the heavy duty lifting on journalism will keep track of what all these things that are going on. Because even that one little hint about the nuclear reactors, which are essentially, they're civilian reactors, right? And that and probably a couple of bucks will buy you coffee relative to, the Iranian program for civilian, nuclear reactors. So you want to think about proliferation of nuclear power in the Middle East for all the usual reasons. That's all, that these are fossil fuel producers. Why would they want to have, well, it is diversification, even though the word diversification is suspect in the United States because of the language police that are anything that says diversity or diversification is suspect. So we have those kind of things going on. Needless to say, it was productive on one level for the United States for the military-industrial complex. On the other hand, that level of busyness can cause lots of trouble. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting time. That otherwise there were the usual, sort of ceremonial craziness. Trump, saying how much he liked MBS and MBS, looking kind of gracious and not, uh, sort of realizing how weird it was to simply to deal with Trump anyway. Trump, of course, being paranoid, he wouldn't drink anything that wasn't kind of pre-tasted. He had a little thing about Saudi coffee, so that was sort of an interesting little deal. He sort of avoided stuff, and I don't know. We're going to get more pictures, I assume. We're going to get the sword dance stuff like the last time he was there, and fortunately, there wasn't a. I don't think Melania's with him, so there's that, and then there's the issue of the Trumpists made a big deal about entourages from prior administrations or other Democratic administrations and not wearing headscarves. And needless to say, Trump's own entourage did not wear any of them wear headscarves, and so and no pretense to doing it as well. That is having the scarf around your neck. For example, there's a little clip of the chief of staff. She wasn't having any of that at all with her big blonde head, noggin. And so, needless to say, this is the usual stuff is going on, and stuff that we don't know about, and we're hoping that there will be better reporting this coming week as Krasnov comes back to the country. Needless to say, he had promised that he might actually show up in Istanbul because on Thursday, yesterday, there was supposed to be the arrival, and there was discussion today, but I mean the negotiations were going on today, but the preliminaries for a discussion on Ukraine. The big optimism was that, Zelensky said, well, I'm going to show up. Why don't you show up, Vladimir Putin? And needless to say, he didn't take the bait because it was sort of taking the bait. That is, what they attempted to do was to, as in poker, this was sort of a call, if nothing else, or a check. And essentially, they sort of dared Putin to show up. And of course, he didn't. What he sent were minions, none of whom were really authorized to do any heavy-duty negotiating. And so you had a bunch of stooges sort of opposing the Ukrainian delegation there. Trump, needless to say, because Putin wasn't going to show up, Trump decided he wasn't going to go either. So today's negotiation featured, the usual kind of intrigues. For example, the Ukrainian delegation decided they would speak nothing but Ukrainian. Now, they all speak Russian, but they decided they weren't going to speak any Russian at all, and they had translators with them, which is very, very nationalistic, you might say. It's, I think, it's a small feature, and that's kind of what you're left with when you sort of look at the politics of it, but it's sort of just interesting. Lane in our chat has put up the semi trailer that includes the McDonald's a complete portable McDonald's restaurant that was provided for Trump's feeding in Saudi Arabia. Quite an interesting thing. Needless to say, an enterprising photographer went out and found this entire portable McDonald's restaurant on a semi trailer, or as a semi trailer, and it was parked near the palace, I guess. And so, yeah, it's been an interesting week. Otherwise, we're hoping that there'll be better pictures. I'm sure there's pool pictures and a variety of other things. For some reason, oh, okay, am I still? I'm still broadcasting. All right, I was worrying.
Oh, that's strong vinegar.
What's happening?
Oh, the vinegar is evaporating and choking me out here. Turn that
Yeah,
down.
it does that, doesn't it? So you're doing a reduction. It's just the vinegar itself, right? You're not going to
Vinegar
saute
and
anything
sugar.
else.
Well, first I toasted cumin seeds, and then I put in the vinegar and some cane sugar. That's enough.
Yum, sweet and sour.
And then the mountain yam is frying up pretty well. So the stickiness, the sliminess will turn crunchy if you fry it. So, and then the fibers will maintain the crunch. So it should be.
Has that sort of scallop-like look to it as well.
Yeah. And I would imagine you could say they're like crunchier vegan scallops. How's that?
Yes, yes. Now, it would be interesting to make them more faux scallop-like, to add some sort of just flavoring that would make them that, and then combine them with oysters that,
Dashi.
yeah, and dashi. That would be interesting.
So
Well, anyway.
the way I was served it in Japan was it was cubed, it seemed blanched, and then in this sauce of some kind of dashi like soy sauce that was covered in katsubushi, which is the shaved bonito that's been smoked,
Yum.
and some nori flakes as well.
Oh, yeah, that's the nice thing about Japanese food, the kind of subtlety of this kind of, the layering, the flavor layering and stuff. That's really
And everything is so damn balanced. It's ridiculous.
Oh, come on. That the American food, I put up a thing tonight that talks about the diet of Bruce Springsteen. And if you look at what Bruce Springsteen eats, he is really not a meat and potatoes guy, but he's, a cheeseburger, lasagna, spaghetti, and meatballs kind of guy.
Oh, really?
His favorite food is peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And so I looked into it and I discovered there actually are ways of making perfect, as it were, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And I hadn't thought of it that way, but now I'm concerned that I've been always eating it in kind of a mundane sort of version of PB&J, and that yeah, very plebeian or just unthinking. For example, for some people, the optimal PB&J would be a combination of things. But one thing would be using 3 slices of bread. That is, you separate the jelly and the peanut butter into 2 wholly separate layers. And I think that's one idea. The other idea is simply just toasting the bread. And that's important too. I have actually been thinking about that because I've got a peculiarly runny jar of Italian blackberry preserves, and other than having the stuff squirt all over me, it made my peanut butter and jelly sandwich not so fun. But anyway,
So this is like a PBJ club sandwich.
indeed. But in one sense, that's really important to actually separate the
Mm.
two, and yet they still combine in your mouth from umami point of view, I suppose. I mean, there's other things to do with it, better bread, better peanut butter, better preserves. So I consulted Ina Garten's. She had a recipe or a suggestion for the optimal PB&J, and she gets her preserves from Zabar's in New York, so la di da. And but it's just interesting. I mean, there's other there's interesting almond butter would be a better substitute in some ways, and blah 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 blah. So these
Sesame.
are all ideas that, and I have not appreciated that. Now I am now, Bruce in our chat suggested bacon. Yes, bacon is incredible. There's just other stuff you got to think about. Um, so the PB&J is, it's not as basic in that sense. It plebeian. It is something that you can savor in a much better way. So anyway, that was my aside as you plate the
I'm a
yams.
big fan. I'm a big fan of the unsweetened roasted peanut butter.
Mm, yes. Well, the kind you have to sort of stir around.
Keep so the oil settles, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
put some a nice jam on that, and then a pinch of salt. One slice of bread.
That's a good idea.
Open faced. Open faced PBJ.
Also a good idea.
It's
Yeah,
kind of mandatory in Norway, although peanut butter and jelly in Europe is kind of sacrilegious. People shocked when you combine the starch and the jam, and just imagining what it's going to do once it gets into your belly with the bread there. It's not the best combination, but
indeed.
the bread we have on this side of the pond is very, very sturdy, let's say. So putting
Yes,
really, really hearty slice of bread on top of another hearty slice of bread is going to force the peanut butter and jelly to just squeeze out the sides, and
indeed.
it's a bit of a nightmare. So open
It,
faced, whole grain bread, sourdough preferably, open faced PBJ, pinch of salt on top.
yes, I can see that it'd be a nightmare. Nate in our chat has suggested apples and bacon. A good combination as well. Actually, if you fry the whole
Mm.
damn thing up and grill it, that'd probably be fun too. So, needless to say, we're making ourselves salivate with the of these
Deep
kinds of things.
deep fat fried PB&J.
Ooh, very Elvis like diet. And Lane suggests that Americans are vile. Indeed, we are. The the or PB&J in the American context is one with Wonder Bread. You use white, the total, 100%
Sacrilegious.
gluten bread. Build strong bodies 12 ways. I wonder what the 12 ways are. That's the thing I've got to actually research. I have no idea about the 12 ways, but anyway, because it sounds very Buddhist, you know. Anyway, Kelly asks whether we can put a PB&J in an air fryer. Never tried it. Interesting idea.
Maybe if you coat it in some kind of breading.
Yeah, panko, some sort of panko thing. Uh, um, sorry, we're discussing PB&J while you're making really nice stuff there, but a wonderful salad or endive. But yeah, it was what I was posting tonight only because I wanted to comment on Bruce Springsteen saying how awful Trump was, and Trump got so irritated that, or it was his desire to weigh in. Of course, is very typically Trump, and he sort of brought out all the old insults in a Truth Social posting. Let's see, called Bruce Springsteen a joke, a jerk. That his face looked like a prune, that his skin had atrophied. Let's see what else. It was kind of weird. I mean, he brought like about 5 or 6 different standard Trump insults. He usually only puts 1 or 2 in each little posting, but he brought out all the guns because mainly, people were making fun of his use. He was making a speech to troops, U.S. troops. There are obviously several bases. We have so many damn bases, but we have bases in the Arab countries. We like, sort of allowing ourselves to sort of, it's part of our foreign policy. Needless to say, he did do a speech at a military base. And of course, it was like a campaign event, and he did his little YMCA thing with where he does his very strange gyrations. And so, so you have to pair the YMCA thing, which has now been de- uh, degayed, um, and compare that with Bruce Springsteen. I mean, there's Bruce Springsteen just had a little moment in his concert in Manchester, a pretty huge venue, and just talked about how awful America had become under Trump. So I think it really did irritate Trump, who thought he thinks of himself as a quote unquote American. Hard to believe, but there it is. Yum. That's Andiv is raw, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a bit rusty here. Huh? I was thrown off by working on this Standard Electric, man. First Standard Electric stove I've worked on in a while. Let's see. How can we make this a little bit nice? Mm. Oh, you can continue to
Oh, well, I can continue to yammer.
about
Busy
the
week and
boss. I think it might have been that it's the boss that he has a problem
oh,
with.
well, yeah. I mean, Trump thinks of himself as the boss, but I think for Trump to just use a very simplistic way of psychoanalyzing him, Chris Christie, the former governor of New Jersey, former whatever toady to Trump, is a big Bruce Springsteen fan, which is so weird anyway, weird in its own way. And so I think that probably irritated Trump as well, because Bruce Springsteen is an American icon, whereas Trump is, well, he's iconic, I suppose. But anyway, so there's that little kerfuffle, and there are plenty of other kerfuffles. We're approaching stagflation. There was at the beginning of the week there were issues again with the Federal Reserve, Trump attempting to control the Federal Reserve. Um, there was the usual hanky panky with crypto, um, and it is still a big deal. It's going to be a big deal. It'll probably something that has related to this will probably come up if and when there is the third impeachment. I mean, I think that Democrats are keeping their powder dry. I know that it doesn't seem like it, but I would wager there's probably a group that is, just sitting there tabulating all of the crimes that have been created. The emoluments with the $400 million airplane that the Qatari royal family is foisting off on Trump, or trying to foist off on Trump. No, the whole point of it is, of course, it's an emolument. That is, it's a bribe. Um, that and Trump.
It's a
This is
gift.
it's the biggest bribe ever for a president. And the point is, it's not really worth 400 million. I mean, the reality is that it costs what $23,000 an hour or something to run this damn thing. And the fact is, it's not very cost effective. The new Air Force One planes actually have energy savings. What is it? They save 16 tons of carbon every year with their engines, whereas this thing that they want to that's a 747B that the Qataris want to give to Trump, no strings attached, haha, is really a. I mean, it's a it's a normal plane. It's about 11, 13 years old, and they tried to foist it off elsewhere, sell it, and nobody's going to buy it because you can get pretty much a much better deal with one of the newer 787 or whatever Boeing lines and whatever it is, the Airbus whatever it is, 380 or whatever. So it is it's a white elephant. Speaking of Trump, that's kind of the deal. And the deal was, of course, to give it to him so that he would be able to use it after he leaves the presidency, if he ever does. So it would have been transferred to his so-called a library, presidential library, which will probably be the most god-awful looking thing. But it'll be in Florida somewhere. It's supposed to be on about 4 acres set aside, and who knows what it's going to look like at Doral, his big Florida golf course. So it'll have that kind of whatever a Trumpian Florida vibe. It's not going to be at. I'd like them to park it at Mar-a-Lago to just take up the whole front lawn. That sucker. But the fact of the matter is, it's really as they say, a white elephant. It sort of has passed its time relative to. I mean, how many people do you know? The point is that what Trump did this week is take Air Force One, which is a 747. It's the VC-25A. And he put a whole bunch of capitalists on it, and that it got there. It was protected by 4 F-15s. Trump really loves that stuff, and so that's what happened this week. In terms of showing up in Saudi Arabia and giving out swords and doing other stupid stuff that is highly ceremonial but really ridiculous. That is nicely plated.
That's a little bit better.
Yes, I like that. Putting it in a row with a kind of a wing-like elements on the side, and with the sauce over it.
Mhm.
Did they do
So
this time during the trip? I remember
Did they what?
when he did that first trip and his first administration to UK, to Saudi Arabia, there was like some orb that they all.
Oh yes, they didn't. There was no second orb photo, so I assume that's just going to remain there.
They didn't do the orgasmatron or whatever it's called.
It's so weird, so weird. I mean, you get Sisi or what is the Egyptian guy there, and the Saudi guy, and Trump, and it's just in the orb thing. Very strange, very strange.
Not to be confused with Sam Altman's orb.
Yeah, there we go.
The AI iris scanning orb.
Oh
Apparently
man,
that's coming to the United States now.
oh man,
Crypto orb.
we're in big trouble. We are in big trouble. But the AI has gone really wacko too. I mean, that apparently a white genocide is a thing. It wasn't a thing. The Grok AI in Twitter X whatever was answering honestly when it said, well, it's nonsense that white genocide was nonsense, and then sort of that ticked off Elon, and so and we have proof of this. That is the person who had to modify the data so that it would validate white genocide commented that, I've been ordered to make it exist. So, I mean, if there's anything that discredits Grok on X, I think that alone is it. So, whatever. I mean, we already know there's a lot of background talk about how there's a lot of push messaging that goes on not only with the AI but with posting and availability and other things in X. But that's a whole nother story for another time.
There is white genocide. That's why they had to let in all those Afrikaners.
Exactly. Well, that was the whole point. It was like, oh, all kinds of people are dying. Well, there is crime, and they have a heck of a lot of it. Nate was just asking me a question about the details of Israel using untested targeting AI in Gaza. Yes, there is some. We need more empirical stuff, but yes, there is some suggestion about AI being manipulating sort of how it operates in terms of the overall battlescape. I think, or target selection, and in such target selection, it's pretty clear that innocents, like children, uh, um, lose their lives, and with
Well, that was one of the main criticisms early on in the genocide. I think it was called Lavender, the project. 972 magazine did a report on the usage of AI doing all the targeting and determining, how many 100 civilian deaths is justifiable or whatever. So I don't know what has changed over time.
It's just probably gotten more refined. That's just what's happening, and unfortunately, it's become ubiquitous. And of course, the Israeli tech industry is a very good industry, and it does a lot of dark stuff. So that's at work as well. We're getting close to that time to talk about the rest of the week. And in about half an hour, 45 minutes, John is going to present. Is it more Night Gallery tonight, John?
I believe so.
Yes, it is, Anne. Yes, it is. So we are going to finish episode 2 of Night Gallery. We saw last time the second story in that tripart episode. And we will see story 1 and 3 tonight.
All right.
They're short. One is, I think, 10 minutes, and the other is like 8.
So that should be interesting, actually, to have, the little thing, the twist that occur in such short time, right?
Yes.
Instant twist. Well, and also on Sunday at 4:00 Eastern time, we're going to have Star Trek Next Generation. Is that correct? Yes.
That is correct. Yeah. 4:00 Eastern. Yeah.
Can you give us a sense of which one you're going to show?
Yes, it is called Elementary, dear Data.
Ooh.
Yes, and the producers of Star Trek got a cease and desist letter from the Arthur Conan Doyle estate after they aired this episode. And it's generally well liked, and they spent a boatload of money on this one because they had to build a street in what was it, 19th century London? Yes.
Too bad. But quite amusing, and an important theme that will come back in Star Trek anyway.
Yes, it will.
The subsequent, I think it's the subsequent one with Moriarty. Is features an important technical sense that I kind of like. But anyway, No spoil.
The character comes back briefly in Picard in 2023.
Cool. Absolutely a fun idea. Is it played by the same actor?
It is.
Oh, outstanding.
Yes.
That's very encouraging for those of us who would like to see eventually to binge watch the Picard, the Picard.
Uh,
Anyway,
but
so
don't worry, if we're going through in order, and I think we'll get there by 2050 or so.
oh, indeed. Well, we're going to have to knock out some of those stinkers, right? We've had that discussion about whether or not we're going
Yes,
to watch the bad ones.
I think we should knock out some stinkers. Yeah.
Well, we've already done that in terms of the first season.
Yeah,
Can
I
we do
had.
it Mystery
Thank
Science
goodness.
Theater style? Live commentary.
I'll mention again, other things are occurring. Let's see. We don't have, or is there? Someone must correct me. Whether we're going to have any kind of movies on Saturday night, whether we have something planned.
Uh,
Is there?
I believe the schedule for Saturday is weekly marks at 2. I forgot to post Eurovision. If anyone's interested in watching Eurovision at 3 p.m.
Yes, on Saturday. Yes.
Yes, highly controversial. It's
Popular
hard to
sound off.
believe that Israel is still in the running, that they were in the running to begin with, let alone still in the running. But well, we don't want to be political. We don't want to get
Ah, indeed.
political. No.
Indeed.
So that's at 3, and then Susanna has a film. Is Susanna here? I'm not sure.
No, she's not here.
Oh, I don't have the
So there
schedule
is
handy.
a Susanna thing. I'm sorry, I didn't look at the schedule before I.
Yeah.
Yes, I wasn't prepared. No, I was too busy doing something else. But indeed, Weekly Marks is at 2 o'clock on Saturdays and Sundays. Although that may be abbreviated on Sunday because we've occasionally been sitting in on Class Unity's a little thing. They're doing a thing on the war economy, which of course is very important for these days. And so I think they're going to do something like that. Class Unity is a former caucus group within the Democratic Socialists of America. And we've occasionally done stuff over there, like we've done with People's Forum, and so we'll do more of those things. On Saturday at 2 p.m., I will be probably trying to do my little thing again with plowing through theories of surplus value by Marx, and or completing we're up to chapter what 25 or 24 in the 2024 edition of Marx's Volume 1 of Capital, the new printing from Princeton, and so we're going to try and do that as well. And in the coming weeks, at least on my little pop stand, we're gonna try and look at some specific issues, much that people aren't going to care about so much, but new approaches to problems of capital. So that's kind of what I'm going to look at. Aside from the usual weekly Marx thing that we're almost to the end of Volume 1 of I've read through most of Volume 1 of the new 2024 edition, so you can have it in a slightly more, whether it's more lucid or not is a whole nother question, but at least it's not AI trying to read that text, because the one that comes from Princeton is a little clunky. It needs an AI, I think, in that context from a software point of view. But anyway, so that's that. So we covered Sunday. We stuff will occur on Saturday. Lane is here. Do you want to talk about the Beatles, Lane?
Yeah, we're going to be playing S02E. It's where they take over America, basically, and it's all fun and affair.
John Lennon
Peace and
does an
love.
impression of Ringo.
Peace and love. Peace and love. Don't want any fucking autographs. Peace and love. No autographs, please. As of today, I love you all. I don't want to sign any more autographs. No more autographs. Peace and love.
And that's right after Star Trek Next Generation on Sunday. So stick around from that. Some
Well,
very good stuff there.
after Night Gallery this evening, Hench was playing Patty Hearst story
Are
documentary.
we're going to do that in a row? Is he going to do the
Believe
last
so.
two then on Saturday? Or now I recall what we were
Saturday
chatting
or
about.
Monday. I can't recall.
Oh, Monday. That's true.
It depends on if there's a conflict.
Okay.
So the
We've been
Susanna will be playing The Killers at 7 p.m. And then I
Killers.
believe
The noir
1946.
Yes,
Yes.
excellent movie. An excellent movie. Is this the one where Ronald Reagan is the bad guy? I can't remember.
You'd be asking the wrong person.
Spoiler alert. Anyway, it's not the Ashton Kutcher Killers.
Never. I've never been a bad.
Katherine Heigl and what's his name? Tom Selleck. But so it's not that one. The radical thing of Patty Hearst is a 2018 version. It what was it done by HBO or somebody? But anyway,
CNN, I believe.
CNN.
What was it?
CNN. All right, and it's been very interesting up to now. We watched the first and second parts, and I guess we're going to the third and fourth later tonight, and then on Monday the closing couple of hours of it. I mean, for me, it was interesting just to see Stephen. There's not that much material out there on Stephen Weed. Poor bastard gets the beat up and whatever, and doesn't complete his PhD in philosophy and winds up selling real estate. So there's that. And then we had an interesting discussion about it last night, which included some discussions of other things. And
Imagine being called Steve Weed in 60s San Francisco. Fucking hell. Was Davy LSD not available?
It really was his name.
Man, I love it.
I think it's a sad tale, with all due respect. In fact, I'm surprised you didn't write a book or something. Or anyway, so that's another story. So more stuff tonight. That is Night Gallery, and then Patty Hearst. So that's going to be all very exciting. So I think I've covered all of the stuff. And James, thank you, James. Maybe we can do the outro. Hello.
Are you about
prepared
ready?
to do the Joe, is there anything else?
The outro.
Joe,
No,
is there anything else?
I believe that's it. So we fried up some Japanese mountain yam, reduced some Spanish vinegar, and diced up some green paprika, garnished with a little coriander and Belgian endive. Nice little.
I'm glad food has come back, and I guess we're going to get that next week. So also get food next week, and so I'm very excited about that. This is the autonomouscollective.net. Come visit us. Come join us. We don't bite much, and we'll try and do better next week. Thank you very much for listening to us.
Wow.